Good evening, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving. We are here on a Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. Of course, the night before Thanksgiving. First of all, everyone who is actually here to watch this, while I know that they're probably preparing, or maybe they're getting ready to travel, or they've been traveling, thank you, because I really appreciate it that you're here with us. That's really amazing. And wow, we're going on 20 years almost. Starting this January will be the 20th year of NYNJPA weather being in existence, which is insane to me. It doesn't feel like that long. So, as always, I want to thank you for being a follower, a subscriber, even if you're just casually following. I really, really appreciate it. Everyone on social media, X, which was Twitter, Facebook, which let's see, we had Friendsters, we had let's see, what are some other ones? MySpace. We start out with that, and here we are, right? So always thankful for having your trust, and so I really appreciate that. Now, there's a couple things that we're going to talk about tonight that are very, very interesting. I'm sure you've seen the posts about snow and some models. We're going to talk about those models and we're going to use mathematical equations to weed out the truth. I've said before in a post, a public post I made on X, saying if someone's going to be posting a 15-day snow map, you should ask them, what do these equations, and I posted the equations, we're going to look at them tonight, what these equations mean. Because if they understand what it means, they would never post a 15-day snow map. And most likely they probably wouldn't use the GFS that much. But you know my bias against the GFS. It's not really a bias. It's more like emotional harm over the years, where like you keep on thinking like, oh, there's going to be a snowstorm, and then it fades away, and the European never really had it to begin with. So I've had my issues with the GFS, which was formerly the MRF, which has been a dumpster fire for as long as I can remember. But it is what it is. And it's not just me saying that. The statistics actually bear this out. One of the individuals I follow, a excellent meteorologist, Ryan Mull, he actually shares, if you subscribe to his feed on X, he actually shares these statistics. And the GFS is literally not even close, is literally one of the worst models out of most guidance. All right, so maybe if you try to pull up no gaps, if you guys don't remember no gaps, long time ago was a Navy model, that might be worse if they ran it today. But literally, the GFS is dead last, and then when you add in AI, it's not even it's not even in the race. In terms of accuracy, whether you're looking at 5 days out, 10 days out, 15 days out. So again, this is meteorology, not modelology, but at the same time, if you're going to use a model, you don't want to use the worst one performing over a 5 year or 10 year or 5 month period. Any type of period, you slice it. It's crazy, So that's that point. We're going to go over that. I also want to share. Let me show this here. Here we go. Okay, so you probably noticed I've been upgrading the graphics a little bit. I'm really, really excited about this. Um, the thing that I'm really excited about is that on the public facing side, it looks a little bit more professional. I've always been proud of the graphics I produce, but now I'm really going to start to get more in depth. Going to use low pressure systems, positioning, stuff like that. I want to make it very clear though for all you premium members, and I'll show an example. The Google Maps are not going away. Okay, now there is a little bit of a question whether or not Google is going to be, bless you, whether Google is going to cause any issues with taking away some of the ability of using the Google Maps. They've been threatening this for years. So I am getting myself prepared in case they move that route. But premium members will continue to have the Google Maps, and these maps, like what we're using for today and tomorrow, where we're highlighting the strong winds and the potential for some lake effect snow showers, which we'll talk about in a moment. This will be the standard for the public facing side. And we're also got some other graphics. If you check out the um, travel conditions, now that that's been replaced by nice, professional, beautiful graphic. And also, we're going to have more graphics for when we have winter storms, more details on the timing and breaking down. I'm working on that. And so, who knows? Maybe next week I'll have a chance to display some of that. Talk about that in a moment. Okay, so that's that. And then just to kind of show you guys, if you guys aren't premium members, this is what I mean by the Google map. Let me zoom in here. So unlike the map we were just looking at, in a Google map, you can zoom right down to your street level. So let's say you want to know exactly what's going to happen in your location. Boom, you can zoom right in and away you go. And you can zoom out and zoom back into your next vacation spot. Let's see, right here. So you can see what you could do here, obviously, with the winter storm. You can zoom right down into your neighborhood, which is really helpful if you happen to be caught on one of these lines. So you're like, okay, which side am I actually on? You can actually zoom right down to the airport level. See how far it can zoom down here. All the way down to street level. Like, here's my house. Okay, I'm on this side of the forecast for the snowfall. And then you can make your determination of what to do with that, or you can reach out to me, whichever. But that is just one of the beautiful things of being a premium consulting member. So just wanted to share that. Now, as always, just to go over everything, if you're new, thank you for being here. For the premium members, we answer all the questions and respond to everything for premium members in this discussion. And then I check out the best YouTube or X or Twitch question or Facebook question if that shows up. And we answer that with the best one. So now we got all that out of the way. And oh, by the way, the coffee tonight is Christmas, a cinnamon Christmas cookie from, I forgot which one it was from. Okay, she's going to take a look. Susan's here too, as always, because she is awesome. As always, is one of the most thankful. Which one is it? Green Mountain. Green Mountain. Green Mountain. Takes a little bit to get used to, but I like it. I like it. It has a nice little punch with caffeine, as you can probably tell. All right, so let's go over the dynamics that are happening right now. We'll start from the top and work our way down. So, since the last time we talked, the European weeklies have come out and they've come out awfully chilly. And you can see that right here. I mean, look at this going all the way through December and into January. Wonderful. But of course, we don't just copy and paste model guidance now, do we? What is behind all this? Oh, yeah. La Nina is getting ready to weaken. And look at that. Look, we're already starting to see weakening already taking place. La Nina has peaked. It has peaked. It has shown itself to be a weak La Nina and a dying one at that. Now, what do you mean by dying? Well, as you all know, when the MJO went into favorable phases, our SOI spiked and so did La Nina. Well, the MJO is moving out of those favorable phases. And what I meant by that is typically on this side of our little square here, if you're in 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's going to boost your La Nina conditions. And if you have a very weak one, it's going to amplify it. Think of it like steroids, okay? Our little weak La Nina, which was cold neutral all the way up until about mid-October, went in a little binge of steroids, and now it is going off of it because now it is moving into phase 7 very quickly. And once it goes into phase 7, the SOI will tank, and so will this La Nina. And because of that, the Southeast Ridge, which the model guidance has been way overdoing it. And we know it's been way overdoing it because it didn't make sense with everything else that we have in place going on right now, right? So a lot of people were making all sorts of disclaimers about early December being a quote unquote torch and a strong southeast ridge. The only problem with the idea of a strong southeast ridge, no matter how many times any model, the European, the AI model guidance, whatever AI model guidance you want to use, whatever, if it doesn't match up with the physics that are going on with the observations, then it's complete and total trash. Now, you could chase that nonsense, or you could look at what's going on in the atmospheric environment and say, okay, we're going to move it out of the way, and we're going to do it a step down process. And I've been advertising this step down process since, I don't know, September. And I kind of nailed it down really nicely a couple weeks ago and redid it again for premium members a couple of days ago, just to kind of highlight how this is all stepped down. Once this goes into phase 7, the support for the southeast ridge goes away. And that's exactly what we're seeing the model guidance trending to. So we're seeing this all take place. And now I'm going over this. This might sound repetitive for some of you guys out there, and I get it, but I want to go over this to make it very, very clear of where we're going and how to handle the storm potential for next week. Because phase 7, it weakens the La Nina, but it's not a winter storm pattern. Phase 8, 1, and 2 for us, and sometimes you could put in 3 depending on other environments, but typically 8, 1, and 2 are kind of like your sweet spots, right? That's where you really get your winter storm potential for the northern mid-Atlantic. And remember, this time of year, you have still warm sea surface temperatures, a warm boundary layer because your ground really isn't frozen yet. So you really need to have everything run into a perfect scenario setting up for you. So there is support of the MJO in multiple solutions here going into phase 8 and 1 in December. So just have some patience. Again, I've been thinking, I've been saying for several weeks, I say, hey, look for mid-December, not just because the Malgan's shown it, but just climatologically speaking, it's usually a better bet. North and west of I-95, you can start looking at December 1st through December 15th. I-95 southward, really you want to wait till after December 15th, unless you have a perfect scenario setting up. So those are your guardrails, right? Those are your basic rules that you're dealing with. While that's all happening, I want to walk you through the sea surface temperatures here because this is a really important signal here. Remember at the beginning of the month, there was a lot of concern about this part of the Pacific right up here being below normal. And here's our La Nina just starting to rage here, right? So this is November 1st. It's established. It's ready to go. It's having influences. It's driving the weather pattern. And up to about November 5th, it is really rocking and rolling. Now, what I want you to do is keep an eye on this and keep an eye on this. I said once the MJO starts to move towards that phase 7, you're going to start to see everything moderate and collapse. And since we started to do that, the northern Pacific starts to moderate, and our La Nina, the western side of La Nina, starts to erode. So what are we seeing here? This is going to end up being near to above normal over here. Very much above normal here. This is your quote unquote, what they want to call a warm blob, but really it's just an extension or enhancement of the positive PDO pattern, which you could add some climate change aspects to it. Okay, definitely you could. But this signal here, again, is one of the reasons why I'm looking at this saying, I'm going to be busy. I better load up on some coffee for this winter. All right. Yeah, and boy, to have I got tons of coffee. Meanwhile, this portion of down here where we're watching the La Nina phase, again, look at this. Look at this gradually begin to decline here. Look at that. Look at that moderation. Now, what's going to happen is once we really get to phase 7, right after Thanksgiving, let's say like Black Friday, a couple of days from now, 2 days from now, you're going to start to see this whole section here moderate very quickly. This section start to moderate, but this area down over here is very shallow compared to these regions. So there's a lot of volatility here, so I don't put a lot of stock into it in terms of changes of ENSO. But when I see it out here in Nino 4, what I want to see next, and we'll look at this in the weeks to come, is convection. Thunderstorms developing at the date line. That's what this is, 180 at the date line. If I start seeing that, that increases my potential for East Coast cyclogenesis, and we can start talking about Miller B's and Miller A's. Not there yet. Like I said in the winter forecast, if we start to see warm anomalies here, not cool, but warm, +1, plus 0.1, plus 0.2, something of that nature. If we start seeing these colors here showing up here as we move through December and into January, then we're going to have a different conversation about our subtropical jet stream. That's going to be a major change because that changes the whole dynamics of this whole setup. Not there yet, but we're going to watch it very, very, very carefully. So that's where we are with the sea surface temperatures. And of course, we know all about our stratospheric environment. Again, you can see the transport from the mid latitudes into the higher latitudes. Our EP flux, which think of it this way, right? EP flux is basically like someone throwing up pizza in the air, right? So it's throwing it up in the air and it's reaching the stratosphere. And that evolution here is taking the warm air in the mid latitudes in the troposphere to the high latitudes in the stratosphere. And the other way to look at it is like this. Hey, we got a lot of warming here and it's expanding. And of course, that sets up our theme here. I want to bring up a couple of points here. When we look at this map, at this chart, everyone's been focusing in on here. And here, let me see if I can get the latest one updated yet. Let's see here. It doesn't look like it. Looked like they took today off. Okay, that's fine. But still, all right, the same theme here. We have just hit a weakening point. Now we're about to crash again, and the reversal is sometime around November 28th, 29th. So right around when you're trying to fight someone for a FUBU or whatever the hell is out there for Christmas, you are going to be seeing a weakening of the polar vortex to a point where the winds reverse. And at this point, on the European ensembles, you got nearly 100% support of that. All right. Then we have this part here. A lot of people have been talking about the fact that this is a reflective warming scenario. Now, what does that mean? Basically, it's like this. The warming's taking place, it bounces off the troposphere, and then it causes a rebound with you see cooling and you see a strengthening polar vortex. And it makes sense. Only problem that people forgot is like, hey, the environment that caused this warming in the first place hasn't changed. It's not like we're changing our QBO or the fact that La Nina is weakening or the mountain torque or the IOD. Nothing's changed in the environment, right, that caused this warming in the first place. So what does that mean? That means that, hey, this is going to happen again. And so what are we seeing in the model guidance now trying to catch up? We're seeing this dip here. Now, more and more of the models are moving towards this dip. Why is this important? One, it delays the time that you need to get back to just neutral. This is a weak polar vortex here. Again, this is the lower boundary of your seasonal average. This is your average, and this is your seasonal average, your higher end of the seasonal average. This is super strong polar vortex. This is super weak polar vortex down here. What we're starting to see is that the model guidance is picking up the idea like, oh, wait, I forgot we're still in the same damn environment. Maybe I should have another warming event, right? So it does that. And remember, 2 weeks ago, we had indications that we were going to get a stratospheric warming, but it was kind of like this scenario. And then you had your extremes down here like you have right now, right? So it's showing the same thing. It's trying to pick up the same trend. It's trying to say, oh, wait, we're going to have a rebound and then another warming event right around mid to late December. And that's going to extend into January. And then now you're pushing all the way till mid-January to get back to polar vortex to near normal. That's what this is, near normal. There's like, nimble winter, no big deal. That's how long. I don't be surprised. You get this, and you get another warming out here mid-January. Why? Because the environment has not changed. This again is another great example of meteorology, not modelology. I'm going to take another coffee sip on that. This is great stuff. So that's why we're trending in that. And again, because you're seeing all these changes in the atmosphere, the synoptic models, it's basically like they got beat up by Rocky. They have no idea how to handle all these changes happening at the same time. So you really want to stay within a 5-day range. 7 days out, you can kind of get the theme, but you really don't want to go into details. You certainly don't want to post snow maps or anything of that nature. Just kind of get the overall theme. So that's where we are in our general weather pattern that is evolving here. And so you're going to see a lot of volatility in how that is handled out beyond 5 days. You're going to see a lot of ghost storms showing up, which we'll talk about in a moment. In this scenario here, the key thing I want to take from this is you're getting a stretched polar vortex that is getting severely pushed, and a nice transport of polar and Arctic air from Siberia into North America. That's all you want to take from that in the stratospheric analysis. Anything more than that, and it's just fool's gold. So that's where we are with that. In our 500 millibar pattern overall, certainly supporting a lot below normal heights, a very, very interesting active weather pattern heading into December. No doubt about that. Plenty of cold air to work with. This is not a ridge. This is confluence. You got a trough here, negative NAO here, trough here in the west, ridging here. Okay, so you have your polar jet stream diving in. You have your subtropical jet stream with a robust shortwave. This is probably overdone, to be honest with you. But let's just say you have a shortwave here. So let's bleed this out and put an upper level low here, right? So you have upper level low shooting out disturbances, heading out into the plains, confluence, cold air coming down, weak to moderate low pressure systems marching across the Tennessee River Valley, heading towards the mid-Atlantic coast. They can't cut up towards the St. Lawrence River Valley. They have to cut up this way. Kind of seem familiar to, like, oh, I don't know, the winter forecast track. And you get your strong high pressure system here, cold air here, winter precipitation potential. This is not a setup for a blockbuster major winter storm like a nor'easter. Why? I don't have a ridge axis around Montana. Now, let's go and take a step further. Let's talk about, we're going to first cover this weekend because I wanted to cover the lake effect snow threat. And then we're going to go into this winter storm threat that a lot of people are posting. Of course, the coldest and snowiest model. So let's see, the icon, of course, because the icon always leads the way. And the GFS, because everyone loves the GFS, especially when it puts out a foot of snow. So we're gonna take a step back. We're gonna do it elevated and look at 500 millibars PVA. So let's first go to where we are right now. Right now, a cold front's approaching. I hope you guys enjoyed the warm weather because it's going bye-bye. Okay, it's done. That's it. The days of 60s, I think, are pretty much finished now through Christmas. I know Susan is not happy about that. But look, at the end of the day, okay, this is going to be a day which, if you are not a winter weather lover, you're going to sorely miss. I'm just being honest with you. We'll have a couple days in the 50s, but I think this is going to be the warmest day we're going to see in quite some time. Our cold front's on the way. Look at this temperature drop. We go from the 50s into the 30s. So this cold front is no joke. We had a nice little rainfall move through that has pushed off the coast here. Let me refresh this, make sure it's updated. And there we go. The rainfall's off the coast. It's marching through Long Island here. Some moderate rainfall. We got From yesterday and today, we got roughly about 0.8 inches of rain. Not bad at all. Actually, I'm sorry, 0.85 inches of rain. So that's pretty good. And, something to just take note of. These short waves in the subtropical jet stream have been a bit moisture loaded. Have you noticed that over the past couple of weeks? More and more output from the rainfall. We've been struggling all through fall. I mean, we've had nearly a drought or nearly drought conditions returning. But over the past, let's say, 2 weeks, we've seen these pack a little bit more of a punch, right? Something to consider as we continue to talk. In the meantime, cold air is coming in. Here comes our polar cold front. Now, again, this is what the subtropical jet stream, this is a polar jet stream. Subtropical jet stream feature, polar jet stream feature. So it's driving in the cold air. It shows up even nicely on the water vapor satellite picture. You can see the two parts here. Here's the subtropical jet stream. Here's the polar jet stream. There's our upper level low, getting ready to dominate. A couple of short waves undercutting this whole pattern will keep us active. And then we have this feature here that will be coming in and reaching us. That's out here, reaching us by Sunday afternoon with additional showers. Might have to watch out with a little bit of frozen precipitation as well over the interior as this comes in on Sunday. But you see the whole pattern setting up, and you see the strong cold air transport. Look at this. It's just like molasses just driving right into the coast. Notice the alignment of the winds. On the Great Lakes, they're coming in from the west-southwest, and that is leading to the development gradually of what we call lake effect snow. Now, right now, it's hitting Rochester and Buffalo. We have some snow showers out here towards western Pennsylvania, some snow showers out towards Michigan. Michigan's just going to be a mess for Thanksgiving with snow showers all over the place. As we move forward, these upper level winds, these mid level winds at 850 millibars are going to shift more out of the west. And for tomorrow and for Friday, that's going to allow for some of these lake effect snow bands to reach our neck of the woods. It's also going to create some windy conditions. So the Macy's Day Parade could be pretty interesting with some floats and some balloons. We were just watching some examples of balloons having issues for Macy's going all the way back to 1960s, actually 1950s, and yeah, it went pretty far back, and we might be seeing that again tomorrow. So just be aware. Tomorrow we're going to be in the 30s and 40s, sustained winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. The 850 millibar winds are going to mix down at times, and that's going to lead to the potential for wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour. So just be aware of that. And then we have that same threat setting up for Friday with 850 millibar temperatures, awfully chilly. Okay. We're talking about some very cold air building in here, so this is going to lead to what we call destabilization, and it also opens up the potential for some of those lake effect snow showers. And one of the models I've been keeping an eye on that I've been trying to test is the RRFS. This model is what's actually going to be replacing the NAM and the HRR in January. I think it's going to be finalized, phased out sometime this next summer. But I wanted to use it to see how well it's been improving because they've been tweaking it. And actually, it did pretty well with this line of rainfall coming through. And the depiction here is for nice lake effect snow bands and some of these snow showers to get out towards, let's say, like Mount Pocono, especially on Friday. I would not be surprised if some of your higher elevations out here in northeastern Pennsylvania picks up 1 or 2 inches of snow. Don't be surprised as you're out shopping on Friday if you're doing that. I personally am staying in and hiding because there could be some flurries out there. It's going to be a very chilly day. Temperatures in the mid 30s to lower 40s. With the winds, it's going to feel like the mid 20s to lower 30s. So you definitely want to bundle up if you're heading out. But don't be surprised to get some flurries setting up. But overall, this weekend won't be too bad, to be honest with you. I mean, once you get past some of the chilly conditions, Saturday is setting up to be pretty nice. Sunday morning is going to be okay. And then Sunday afternoon, evening is when we're going to see the potential for showers invading the region once again. But again, we're going to have to watch out. I'm going to wait for more details for on tomorrow and Friday to fine tune this area for Sunday, with the potential for some sleet and maybe a little freezing rain for the Poconos and Catskills on Sunday. So a lot interesting things already setting up. Now let's finally get on with, I know all you guys are asking all about this, the winter storm potential. Because God knows everyone's been sharing the GFS, the Icon, whatever model gives you the most snow. I get it. But let's go to 120 hours. This is Monday morning. What do I see? I see the polar jet stream setting up nice cold air transport, nice setup here for fresh polar air mass coming in at 500 millibars. I have my shortwave here. Okay, now it is a positively tilt. That's this right here. And this is the European. We'll go check out the other models real fast too. Okay, and as we move forward to Tuesday morning, I had this whole setup. What do I have? I don't have much of a ridge out here. In fact, I'm getting a trough building in here. And I have this trough coming in. Notice on the European, it kind of loses its punch. It gets strung out. This might be a little bit too strong. But why is this happening? Well, let's go back to our equations. Are you having a nightmare yet? I know, it's scary. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm going to walk you through it. It's not that scary. Okay. Let me take off this real fast. You don't need to see me for all of this because I want to show you some of the equations. When we are forecasting, and I've said this before, like if you don't know if you're not using these equations when you're forecasting, you're missing the whole story. Okay. Now, I'm not saying I'm sitting here and doing calculus. I mean, I do some calculus, I still practice it. But look, I'm not sitting here doing calculus for each hour for these equations, right? I'm not doing that. What I mean by that, by saying that, hey, you use the equations, you have to use these equations all the time when you're forecasting, is that what these equations mean for the atmosphere. What is the connection? What is the mathematical and physical connection that we're talking about here? So we're talking about conservation of mass applied to the atmosphere, equation of continuity. We're talking about the equation of vertical motion, rising and sinking motion. So we're talking about conservation of mass and rising and sinking motion. In this case, I'm not really worried about Newton's second law or the ideal gas law. You could use zonal and myriad winds, but I'm not really worried about that. Temperature advection. Okay, this I would use if I was trying to study just how much precipitation we're going to be outputting here. Not worried about that just yet. Pressure thickness, very important factor here to consider. So when I use these equations, what I want to know is whether the model guidance violates these equations based on what we know how the atmosphere should perform. And whether you're using AI, which is purely statistical, or the physics base, which uses these equations, they still have to follow these laws, regardless of what model you use. So now I'm going to put myself back on there. So now you understand what I mean when you say meteorology, not modelology. These equations rule. That model guidance does not. If these models do not follow these equations, it's garbage. So now that we understand that, when I'm looking at 500 millibars, going back here, when I say I'm using physics and I'm using those equations, what I'm saying is that, hey, if I don't have a ridge here, and in fact, I have a trough coming into the West Coast, I don't have anything to amplify this. There's no reason for this to get stronger. It's going to get weaker because there's no amplification up here. I have to, in order to have this get stronger, I have to have amplification here of a ridge. There's no ridge. None. There's a ridge up in the Gulf of Alaska, but the trough is too broad. So, so when I'm looking at this, the first thing I say is, okay, this right now would tell me to stay away from any type of snow or precipitation event that would produce something like a 6 to 10 inch type snowfall. Unless you're dealing with like true pure Arctic air, which we're really not there yet. Okay. Um, this is progressive, fast moving setup. And it is one where you could end up with frozen precipitation, maybe even on the coastal plain, but it's going to be a short duration, under 6 hours. You're going to have a limitation of the intensity of your precipitation, unless you deal with some sort of mesoscale feature, which again you'd have to wait until you get to about 3 days out or less to really iron out. But this tells me, hey, this is getting sheared and it's weak. So let me compare this with other models. Let's say we got this is our AI model, and look what it does. It weakens it. Okay, that makes more sense. What does the GFS do? We go back to 12Z, and it tries to strengthen it. It tries to strengthen the shortwave when you have no amplification. This is why the GFS is garbage. This is why I threw it out. And any model guidance that looks like this, because you can't have this type of amplification from 150 to 168 hours. What's causing that amplification? You can't say this ridge is too close. It doesn't match. It doesn't set up. This trough here is kicking everything east. There's no reason for this amplification. Therefore, you throw it out. That's why. That is why. Not just I hate the GFS. I hate the GFS because it pulls stuff like this. And then you have people just looking at the surface map posting the worst case scenario. But in reality, the minute I saw that, I'm like, nope, it violates these laws. It especially violates this one and this one. It violates wrong, done, you fail, get out. You have failed the class, you are getting the dunce cap, get out. Okay? So that's why 18Z, let's see if it did any better. No, look, it tries to amplify it even more, which doesn't make any sense. How is it amplifying? What ridge is amplifying this? What wavelength is amplifying this? Nothing. So you throw it out. Not because I don't want snow or I don't like the GFS or whatever other reason that someone might throw out. It's because this physically doesn't make sense. So when I look at the European, this is probably a little too sheared. Why do I say that? Remember what I said about at the very start here, like, hey, these precipitation events have been a little bit more amplified. The European guys have had a little bit of a problem with under amplifying the short waves coming out of the subtropical jet stream. Not significantly, but let's say if I'm expecting a half an inch of rain, I get up to a quarter of an inch of rain. Okay. Um, it's been underdoing the transported precipitable water values, so I need to make adjustments for that. So as a result, when I see this solution, let me jump to it. Here we are. Here we are. Okay, so here's the 12Z, and this is way too sheared. This is way too ridiculously weak. Now, the 18Z guidance here is a little bit more reasonable. Okay, here's our cold front that comes through on Sunday night and Monday. The cold air is in place. Couple of key factors are high pressure systems giving way. I like this a lot more. This looks a lot more realistic, a little bit juicier. Not a lot. This is not a major winter storm here. And again, you don't want to use the 10-to-1 ratio maps because your boundary layer is still a bit warm. So it's going to take some time for accumulation to really take hold unless you're in the highest elevations. And you are really battling the warmer Atlantic waters. So for the coastal plain, this setup I could see this. I-95 on southward starts out as a little snow, changes over to rain. North and west of I-95, a light snow, but not a blockbuster storm. I don't see that because the whole 500 millibar pattern really doesn't support that. This is a progressive, fast move. This is not something that's going to turn up the coast. This is something that's going to head out straight out. Okay. It's not going to do like one of these where it cuts up here and really intensifies. Everything's moving generally west to east at a pretty good clip. So this is not a major storm. This is a minor to moderate storm, mostly ran the coastal plain for like the Poconos, the Catskills, um, parts of the Lehigh River Valley. You could probably pick up maybe some snow here. I don't know exactly how much, but I definitely would stay below the 6-inch level on this based on, again, looking at this analysis here. Okay. Again, no amplification to the west. If I had a nice ridge here, I'd be like, oh, game on, let's go. We're going to start off December with a bang. I don't have a ridge here. This has got to be progressive. It's got to be moving, and it's got to be relatively weak. And it's going to be a little sheared out. So expect the 0Z European guidance to be a little bit more juice. Excuse me, a little bit juicier, but it didn't shift north or fall towards the GFS, because the GFS is ridiculous because you can't amplify this further. This shortwave as it comes in must weaken as it's approaching because there's nothing to amplify it out west. Simple physics. So definitely the start of December is going to be pretty interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. And then after that, well, shortwave after shortwave. We got a lot of clippers here. We're going to be watching a lot of these little shortwaves. We're going to have our hands full. But again, I'd wait for mid-December before we really start talking about winter storm threats, like where you're talking about 4 to 8 and 6 to 12 and all that stuff. At least wait till December 15th. Okay. So those are the themes I wanted to share. And so now let's go to the questions here from our chat room here. And I'm sure we have plenty. Oh, I really went on a rant tonight, so I do apologize. But, there was a lot to cover. So let's see what we have here. Card is saying, good evening, happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Card. Go Cowboys. No, my Chiefs are going to win. Sorry, dude. I know it's going to get really windy. Yes. When will the wind finally down? When will that? I got to calm down. When will the wind finally wind down? Okay, I saw wind and wind. It's kind of like the, it's kind of like that. Yeah. Friday evening. Sorry. Okay, so Friday evening you'll start to see the winds decline because we won't have as much mixing. Saturday morning it should be pretty reasonable, about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Also, given the wind direction, is it correct to say that coastal flooding on the New Jersey shore will not be an issue? The back bays will be an issue. Yeah, exactly. Except perhaps the back bays. Yes, the back bays would be an issue. For everyone else would be fine. Battery is going to be a little bit of an issue too, especially as you head into Manhattan. Snow boss screaming snow. I understand. You're going to get your share. Trust me. And I wouldn't be surprised in Lehigh Valley with that system. It picks up an inch or two, maybe. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll nail down the theme here. Throwing darts at the dartboard while blindfolded is more accurate than the GFS these days. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, it's getting as bad as what the Murph was. And anybody who's an old time meteorologist remembers the Murph with some love because it was basically almost the only model you had in the long range. Because the European was really locked behind a closed door unless you were rich. Um, that warm blob at 70 millibars over the North Pacific is not going away. It's just getting bigger and stronger. Agreed. This is just going to feed back on itself. We're talking about the stratospheric warming setup. What are your thoughts on the new winter teleconnection ABNA, Asian Bering Sea, North America? Holy crap. How many teleconnections do people have? I swear, I think that there's some like See, this kind of reminds me of like baseball, right? Where you get like these stat nerds. And look, I love my nerds. I'm a nerd too. But sometimes these guys, they get so much into statistics, they don't look at the whole physical parameters. I'm not really aware of this one. This is a new one, but it's got to be very similar to the EPO. It's basically doing this. It basically has the same characteristics. So I don't know. I have to check it out. I'll have to Google it or whatnot and try to find it, Steve, because this is the first I've really heard of it, to be honest with you. Also, look at Earth News School. The flood of air from the tropics up to the polar regions at both 10 millibars and 70 millibars is very impressive. Yeah, what you're looking at, Card, is actually the EP flux live. Uh, Other observations for Earth News School is that the surface is 700 millibars. There is very large, very cold pooled air that can be tapped at this point. Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Let's see here. Temperature around 60. Next couple of days likely to be in the low 40s. If Gulf of Mexico is still that warm the next couple of months, if any storm can tap into that, there is going to be a lot of energy available. Yeah, 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 I'm going to be very interested to see whether or not we get that warm water pool starting to set up around the date line. That would be something very interesting to talk about in mid-January and February. So let's put a pin on it. Could be interesting. Was there an earthquake in upstate New York today? I have no idea. I didn't hear anything about it. Yeah. Was a beautiful day on the water yesterday. Had a lot of fun. That's awesome, Thomas. Thomas is one of the guys that does a lot of marine stuff. So if you are interested in marine weather or want to have a chat and get some analysis, definitely reach out, become a premium member. I actually do part of that. And I help out Thomas a lot with some of those questions. Ari went over the coffee. Scooter asks, will the current reflective event contribute to the cold pattern through mid-December? Actually, I think it's going to contribute all the way through late December, to be honest with you. These kind of events have more immediate, short-lived impacts. I think that based on the environment that we're in, that we're going to see a lot of reload. I think that the reload patterns are going to be shorter, faster, and the cold patterns are going to linger longer. And it's going to. I think you'll see a reload right around New Year's, and then away we go again. And maybe towards the end of the month of January, we see another reload, which I could use because I'm going to be in Houston for the AMS conference, and I don't need a winter storm around that period. So we'll see. Maybe that'll work out just right. Talking about the polar vortex reflective event. Balloons will be grounded if there is too much wind. Yeah, that's true. They have a speed. They have a wind limit now, huh? They finally learned. As long as it's above 35, I'm fine. Let's see. 18Z Euro was more amplified, yep, than the 12Z for the winter storm potential. The AIFS was basically another term for the AI model. Also made a big jump to being more amplified, which I thought was interesting considering it was flat for days. The 18Z European and the 18Z, in fact, here, let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get the 18Z guidance here. Here it is. Okay. Let's see what we have here. There's that. Okay, so there is our shortwave right here, right? There it is. That's a little robust shortwave. See, it follows the rule I was talking about. It's not strength. The reason why it's stronger, okay, is not because it's trending towards the GFS. Because again, the GFS tries to strengthen this when it shouldn't. What it's doing is it's recognizing, like, hey, these shortwaves in the subtropical jet stream are a little bit juicier than initially thought. So the European operational and the European AI are both making the adjustments of saying, excuse me, that hey, this is a little bit more robust. So as it's getting sheared apart, it's going to have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more lifting capabilities. And so that's why you're seeing that. So, like I said, the 12Z guidance was likely way too sheared. The 18Z guidance is more reasonable, and the 0Z guidance will probably show the same thing, but it's still the same theme. A robust shortwave in the four corners gradually weakens as it heads towards the East Coast. So that's where we're at with that. So that makes a lot of sense. Along the coastal plain I-95 corridor, aren't ground temperatures still too warm for snow to really stick? It's too warm. You can get snow accumulating, but it's going to take longer, which is why I warn against the 10-to-1 ratio idea with any of this snowfall potential here just yet. We'll study the boundary layer, but again, you know, I wouldn't trust it. From now till December 30th, we'll try to go on fishing. Try to go on fishing boats. After that, it'll go fishing from the piers January through March 31st. I will say that based on your wind criteria, you might have a little bit of a trouble in December. But definitely, keep me posted. I'll definitely help you out with that. Scooter, even if next week's storm doesn't get sheared, which it will, no blocking means it has room to cut north and west, making it northwest. This isn't going to be northwest I-95 because of, again, we're going to step back here. Okay. During this scenario, you see this big upper level low. This can't, again, we're going back to physics again. This huge upper level low doesn't allow anything to cut north. There's no way that this could cut north at all. It won't work. Okay. Because this blocks everything up. This suppresses the subtropical jet stream to move everything this way. There's no way for this to cut up, let's say, towards Lake Ontario or anything of that nature. It's the wrong setup. Glad I made it out yesterday. I got a lot of views for my channel. That was awesome. It was an amazing sunrise. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. Any more thoughts on the AMO slowing down? Okay. AMO. There has been a lot of talk about this, okay? There are some observations for the eastern side of the AMO to slow down. This has happened before. The reason why you're seeing these observations is that you're seeing a little bit more fresh water coming in from Greenland because of some melting ice, melting glaciers. And so that screws up the whole circulation in the conveyor belt. I don't buy the idea that the AMO is going to shut down because it's using it based off the idea that we're going to put out carbon at the same levels that we were putting out in the 1960s where everyone was using coal and oil. We're just not moving in that direction in terms of our technology. In fact, it's a waste of money to use coal to, let's say, use to power a nation. And so I think that gradually we're moving away from that. Even China eventually is going to move away from that. So I do think there's going to be a slowdown, but the Gulf Stream is going to be just fine. I don't see any changes in that. Is there anything going on in the Western Pacific? Nothing really significant going on. There's a couple of tropical disturbances, but nothing really that's too robust. Let me take a look and see anything going on social media. There is a lot of questions here on YouTube. Yes, we are. Which I'm surprised about. I figured everyone's going to be getting ready for Thanksgiving and stuff. I'm really. You went on a tangent. Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. All right. Well, I'm not going to discuss other weather companies, but I will say that it is way too early to put out snowfall totals, regardless of who you are. No, that's all I'll say about that. Jesus Christ. Wind effect. That. Okay. This is a good question from Crazy Many 5126. I think that's how it is. Does the winter pattern this December support moderate snowstorms for the Mid-Atlantic? I think that this type of weather pattern has the potential of producing more moderate winter storms, but if we get Arctic air involved, then that can enhance your snowfall totals for some of these moderate winter storms because the snow ratio would be higher. So that's kind of a theme I'm watching out for December, especially after December 15th. Uh, I expect to have an idea on what to expect with this whole setup by the time we get to Friday. So while I am digesting turkey and trying to waddle my butt to my forecasting chair, I should have a pretty good idea on the overall theme, and I'll have impact maps, at least an overall theme for the impact map out for premium members, and then as we move on through the weekend, we'll start to really narrow down, start to issue probably public maps on Sunday, latest Monday morning. And thank you for the happy Thanksgiving. A lot of people, that's awesome. We talked to the MJO. Coffee better be decaf. No. I drink pure caffeine. I just, yes, it's not even a problem. But also, I'm staying up later tonight too. I don't have to wait because tomorrow is going to be weekend update version. So I could stay up till midnight. It doesn't bother me because I'm sleeping late. Let's Oh, and thank you for spreading the word. I really do appreciate that. I really thank you for everyone who has signed up on Twitch. I really appreciate that. I see some of the stuff here from Philly Weather. GFS, especially 06Z, has been interesting to say the least. Of course, usual suspects were out on social media claiming monster snowstorms. Really unfortunate that people do that. Yeah, we're actually going to have. I'm working with the AMS to address this. Um, so I'll have more to say about that once we issue a statement. Um, when it comes to the CPC's December, the monthly, tri-monthly forecast, I find them to be useless. I'll be dead honest with you. I barely, if ever, use them, to be honest with you. Um, with all due respect to all the meteorologists at the CPC, the, the December, January, February outlooks are completely useless. I don't even look at them, to be honest with you. Um, Suggestion possibility of above normal. See, the problem is that they just take La Nina, copy paste. That's the problem I have with them. It's just ridiculous. Um, that's all I'll say. Uh, Need to stock up on. Yeah, well, I'm definitely stocking up on coffee. That is for sure. Now, do it now, especially with the way that coffee prices are going up. Do it now. Let's see. Those December's can rival 1983. Let's see. Okay. Why does a ridge over the Rockies cause short waves to amplify towards the coastal plain? Okay. So when you have amplification, right, of a weather pattern, let's say that you have rope, right, and you are moving it up and down, right, and you're doing like one of those rope workouts, and you notice you kind of get these little humps as you do that, right? Well, every time you lift it, you are creating a wavelength. So, in order to amplify a wavelength here, a trough here, you must amplify a ridge here. So, if you have a trough here, that flattens out everything here. It has to. And you start building a ridge out here. So, what the reason why a ridge axis around here is so important is because this is like your sweet spot right here. You get a ridge axis right here, you're going to cause a deep trough here as a result because the atmosphere must find a balance. So, you're lifting the rope here, you're causing a trough here. So, you get the ridge locked up just right. And if you have a ridge like this, really locked in right around Montana, you are more likely to not only get a trough here, but you're more likely to also enhance the jet streak here to cause a negative tilt of this trough here, which amplifies your storm. When we get a major winter storm taking shape, with a true Miller B or even a Miller A scenario, you'll have a ridge out here, and because that ridge strengthens, you'll see this trough strengthen. And when those two happen, it's a thing of beauty. And then when we actually get there, we'll go back and talk about this again, and then you'll see it live, and then it'll click. Then you get it. Okay, so it's all about amplifications and wavelength. Okay. So the cold air transport, it's strong, but and again, when it comes to the influence of the Atlantic right now, with a northwesterly wind, that's easy, right? It easily overcomes that. But when you have a low pressure system, you're naturally having easterly wind components. In this case, a northeasterly wind component. So you're taking water, you're taking the air mass that's coming off of the Gulf of Maine and off of Long Island, and you're transporting it in. So you'll start out with a cold environment via the northwesterly winds initially, but then you'll have natural modification of that environment. So instead of, let's say, in early December with that northeasterly wind, you'll warm up into the mid to upper 30s, changing over to rain. Whereas in January, you'll stay in the lower to mid 30s with a better potential for all snow or a wintry mix because the modification of your boundary layer is not as strong. Yeah, when I say coastal plain, I'm referring to especially south and east of the I-95 corridor. Um, okay, the subtropical shortwaves are they're not amplifying. They're stronger. See, here's the thing, right? They're stronger than what the model guidance sampled, right? So it's not that they're strengthening, it's that the model guidance is correcting the poor sampling it originally had, which is true whether you're dealing with AI model guidance or operational guidance. Bad data in, bad solution out. So what's happening is that these short waves are getting into a range of better sampling, and so the model guidance makes them stronger. The short waves are not in themselves getting stronger. It's just that the sampling is getting a truer read of just how strong these short waves are. But even in that scenario, you're still having them weaken as they move towards the East Coast. Let's see here. I'm starting to lose my voice. We'll talk about that. There's some great questions, but I can't answer all of them. I'll lose my voice. Is there? Let's see if we have anything on X. Oh, hello, Steve. Happy Thanksgiving. Hello, Jason. Let's see here. Winds are just starting. What is important for amplification? Okay, so we already talked about that. Thank you, gobble gobble. And of course, we have anything on Facebook? Facebook is my wife's favorite platform, by the way. Very funny. Uh, Thanks for all you do. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. Oh, we got more. Okay. All right. And Tony says, "Good evening. Cold and active pattern ahead. MJO going into 8, and then cold or 1 or COD or 1. December will be very interesting. Yes, it will. It will be interesting. I am not guaranteeing that you will have a foot of snow in your backyard, but it is definitely going to be interesting, and it is going to be probably one of the most active Decembers I've seen in quite some time. Okay. It's going to be busy, and it's going to keep us active. And I think we covered all the questions. Let's see. Oh, we got a couple more here. Does the amplification help with wavelength spacing? Yes, it does. That's part of it as well. Absolutely. What's the question for Friday? Uh, oh, no. Okay, okay. Okay, no, there won't be. I won't be doing any more videos from Thanksgiving through Sunday, unless something significantly. If something significantly changes, which I don't expect, then I'll make a video on Friday. But I'm not expecting to um, at this time, because I don't expect to needing to have to. Um, if this becomes more than a 6-inch event, then we have other things to talk about because then a lot of things changed. But I don't expect that to be the case at all, based on what we talked about tonight. So basically, with that happened, in order for that to happen, the whole setup of the 500 millibar pattern would have to change 120%. So that ain't happening. Okay, because we're 5 days out and setting up the 500 millibar pattern, it would be a epic change. And by the way, not one model guidance has a ridge around Idaho. Okay, not one around Montana, Idaho, anywhere in that ballpark, which tells me that any idea of amplifying this into a major winter storm is going to fail. Not because I say so, but because physics says so. So, someone should take the GFS back to Physics 101. Damn model. So, I just want, I already said, if anyone wants to get me a Christmas present, please end the GFS or fix it. One or the other. But I am done with that model. It's just, ugh. It is the GFS model, honey, is the main reason why we have these social media insanity posts out there. It's the only reason, you know? But
If I could swing that one for you for Christmas, I would also pull a time machine from out of nowhere.
yeah, tell me about it. Well, I think we covered everything for tonight, and my voice is getting a little low, so I'm going to um, shut down because I need to rest. We'll have weekend updates throughout the rest of the weekend. So for tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if there are major changes in the forecast, of course, I will let you know. How do you fix the GFS? You have to correct. The GFS has a problem with convective feedback, which it doesn't do a very good job with handling rising motion. And because of that, it creates these ridiculous solutions. So if they'd fix that, then maybe you have a shot, but we'll see. But anyway, rather than me get off on a rant on that, I will say this. I know. I know. Um, have a happy Thanksgiving. Do me a favor. Yes. Do me a favor. Okay. I will keep an eye on this threat. Do not waste your time all the way through Thanksgiving checking out the 0Z6 GFS or the 12Z European and hoping for some miraculous change with a heavy snow event. Don't waste your time doing that. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with the family members you like, uh, and even some of the ones you don't. Enjoy the turkey and the football. Nothing else is changing. I will keep an eye on this environment. We won't have any idea on any of the snow potential at the earliest, maybe Friday afternoon. So don't waste your time. Enjoy yourself. And as always, stay safe out there.